Apologies for how my hair looks. It is so humid in LA right now, and I just got out of a shower, so my hair is a little bit crazy. Hello, everyone. Looks like we got a nice small group here of about 40 people, which works great for me, but I think it's going to be, it's changing quickly. Let's go ahead and say hi to everybody. Hello, Anna, KP, welcome. Oh, hello, Blue. Jane, welcome. Jeanette, hello. Tyann, Chantel, pretty name. Hi, Chantel. Renee is here. Yay, hello, Renee. Nancy, welcome. Jim, Shanice, Linda, Harry, Caroline, Sharon, Rebecca, Fellerin. Hello, Fellerin. Good to see her here. And Angela, Jane, Michelle, Patricia. Oh, so many wonderful people. Jackie, Sammy, Jean, Pat, Mark, Ann, Julie, Kelly, Lorraine, Connie. Oh, we're going to have a party. So first things first, people said that they wanted to have a slumber party. I was thinking, what if we do a slumber party? We'll make it unlisted so that it's just like the people that want to raise money for charity or something. I don't know. If we make it unlisted, then we can have a lot more fun and we can be a little bit more, naughty, like maybe do readings for each other or I don't know. And then we can donate the money to save the Amazon or something like that. We'll pick a charity. Maybe we'll super chat it. Oh, can I do that here? I don't even know how to super chat. I'll figure it out. Anyway, so a lot is going on in the news. Oh, the pond is here. Hello, Captain. Speaking of the pond, we're going to be working on things today going on in Britain. It looks like Brexit, if it doesn't fit, we're going to force it. Now, this is something interesting to me because when I did remote viewings and tarot readings on Brexit, the universe was very specific. It said, not going to happen, can't happen. And here we are. They have shut down Parliament by order of the Queen until October 13th. So they're going to force an abnormal situation, which the people of Britain no longer want. I suppose that's one way to take a situation that's impossible and force it to happen. So as is my way, we're going to go ahead and let people tell me what they want me to do on the Blitz, because it's a Blitz. And you folks decide what we do on a Blitz. But I think we're going to go ahead and do Brexit. People that also wanted to know if the Queen was being blackmailed by, if Russia has a tape of Andrew. It's an interesting idea that theoretically everybody was fine with what Epstein was doing so long as he worked for the West. But if he was a double agent, or if Epstein was selling these tapes to foreign governments like Russia, then at that point, theoretically, you could see him getting arrested, or at that point, Epstein had made enemies with the West. It's an interesting theory. And if that's true, and the Russians have a tape on Andrew, the question then is the Queen being blackmailed? I would be inclined to think that it's not quite that simple, because I can't imagine they would have let the Queen be that vulnerable. I don't know. People want us to look at Joe Walsh. I think that's a great idea. People also want us to check on the Amazon to make sure that the Amazon is going to be okay. I think the Amazon's going to be fine so long as we, the collective, decide that it's going to be okay, and then come together as a group and decide enough is enough, and use the tools in our toolbox as a collective to put a stop to allowing crazy people to take control of the planet. I mean, we have a lot more power than I think we realize. Jeremy Corbyn. Yeah, he wants to speak with the Queen. Look, I saw an interview with Andrew. It was rather unpleasant to watch. But I think that he's going, look, they have media people. The royal family has media people that polish their images, teach them how to walk, teach them how to talk, teach them how to walk and chew gum at the same time, and create this beautiful package of how they are to look publicly, even picking their charities for them, so that the little people have an image of the aristocrats, that they're these wonderful, wonderful people. And then what they do privately is something entirely different. So rest assured that the press, the media people that work for the royal family will clean this mess up. They always clean up the messes. And there will be an interview, just like there was an interview with Prince Charles where he had to admit to having an affair. Yes, but I was really innocent, you know, and everybody bought it. I think the same thing will happen with Prince Andrew, but I do kind of want to throw on Prince Andrew as well as the Queen. Don't you just love this? Okay, so for the slumber party, if everybody wants to do a slumber party, we have to figure out what the time is going to be here. If I started at 8 p.m. my time, which day of the week would work well? If it's 8 p.m. my time, it would be 11 p.m. in on the East Coast. We could start it at 7 p.m. my time. So just let me know what time and day people works best for everybody for the slumber party. And the other thing I was going to say about the slumber party is that I want to invite Marcia and maybe Tawny. What do y'all think? Should we bring Tawny and Marcia and maybe my assistant, Chuck Dransfield, so that we're all here and we'll have our vegan snacks? And then Marcia, Tawny is learning to be a reader. Marcia is a remote viewer professionally. And my assistant, Chuck Dransfield, who everybody hasn't met him yet, he channels actors, celebrities and actors and stuff. So I would love to have him come and do a little bit of that just for fun. All right. So did I get to everybody's questions that you'll want us to do for the Blitz? Did everybody just ask me whatever you want to ask me? Right now is the best time, because once I get started on the Blitz, it's going to be hard for me to look and check everybody. Hi, Colette. 7 to 8 works for you, Colette? Okay, great. So I'm thinking about 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then also let me know if you want it to be just me or if you want me to have some guests. Hi, Mystic. Shanice wants me to look at Pelosi. I think that's great. So it's really just kind of like a war between East and West at this point. Oh, yes, Puerto Rico. I agree. We have to look at Puerto Rico. And Hurricane Dorian. 7 p.m. Okay, so most people are saying they want 7 p.m. Now, which day of the week, just let me know. And then if you want me to invite any guest, or if it's just going to be us. Okay, so people want me to look at SCOTUS, and they also want me to look at Deutsche Bank. This is a lot of stuff, you guys. So let's just, Trump's dementia. We've already talked about that. I think that's pretty... The experts have already spoken on that, so I think we all kind of know what that's about. All right, we're going to go ahead and start with a simple prayer for everybody, and then we're going to go in and we're going to look at Brexit first, just because I think we're going to look at the Amazon and Brexit first, because that has the greatest impact on the planet. I want to call on white light protection for myself and my viewers as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Give us the clarity and wisdom that is needed to empower my viewers, that we all make the best decisions for ourselves, for our planet, for the people we love. With that, I say amen. And even for the people we don't always like. All right, Spirit. First on the list is the Queen. How is the Queen doing? How's the Queen doing? Is she being blackmailed? Is she in trouble? Is she protecting her baby? What is going on with the Queen? I have to admit I like the Queen. I really do. She's the adult in the room. The Queen. She's very sad. The first thing that they're saying is she's very sad. She's disappointed by how certain things were handled. I don't feel that I'm being blackmailed as I sit in this energy, but I feel sad, annoyed, and disappointed with people. Where she is at right now, the Two of Pentacles, so a rocky road. This is a situation where the reason that she was convinced that they needed to take a break was because she had been promised that they could work it out if they had time. And so she is trying to give them the time to work it out. And you can see there is a Hermit card coming in as well. So she was under the impression that by doing this, she was theoretically helping to work out a situation that was becoming difficult, that the obstruction was preventing certain people from doing what they needed to do to allow a smooth Brexit. So she was under the impression that this was actually helping. And so hearing the other side of things, hearing what Labor has to say is probably not a bad idea at this point. Where she's at right now, the business of the country. So she is meeting with people. This is a very practical energy, the Queen of Pentacles. What is best for the business of the country? This is not emotionalism that I'm getting from Queen Elizabeth. This is not, I was blackmailed and oh my God, I have to be frightened of the Russians. She's part Russian, right? Through her great-grandmother. That's not this energy. This is the energy of somebody who is simply trying to stabilize the business of the nation. And did a favor, so to speak, as far as she's concerned, she did a favor for the Tories because she felt that the chaos was preventing Brexit from happening and that this was a way of helping to reduce the chaos. The benefactors card is coming in. So she feels that she bailed Boris Johnson out a little bit. What is above her? Again, the concern is about trade. Two of Wands moving in the fourth house. This is a trade card, looking at the globe and looking at how the trade coming in and the trade going out. This is just the cards of somebody who cares about business, keeping the business flowing, keeping the money flowing, stabilizing the economy. Every time I go into the Queen's energy, it's a very practical energy. A judgment had to be made. Her feeling is that a judgment had to be made, a decision had to be made, because as long as both groups were fighting, it was impossible. So when I would go into the energy, or other remote viewers would go into the energy, it was not going to happen, because you had two groups strongly in direct opposition to one another. And so what the Queen did is she came in and she felt that her decision was practical. Whether it was true or not, she did that because she felt that by simply allowing the Tories to work without obstruction, if they couldn't come up with a plan, then they'll throw in the towel. But this was a temporary decision to see if they could move forward. You can see a chariot, the judgment, so that they could move forward regarding trade. Regarding trade, wanting to move forward, she became a benefactor. You can see in the third house, this is probably Boris Johnson, a trade or an agreement with a man who comes as the person who's going to create the deal, the King of Cups, who's going to do the offer, and here's the contract. What is around? A feeling that one has inherited the mess, the hope and the fear for her, the finances, and the Empress is abundance. And the Empress, by the way, is the Queen's card. I use that to symbolize. She's the one who's the center, the queen bee of the wealth or the prosperity of the country. So the Queen will try to do what is best for the economic stability of the nation. And she wants no nonsense. This is not saying that Brexit will happen, and this is not saying from the Queen's perspective that Brexit will happen. I don't know much about British politics, so I know a little bit, but it's probably good that I don't, so that I can just give you a straight reading. And how I would interpret this is that the conflict between the two groups is creating a lot of instability and unrest in Britain that needs to come to an end. And in that sense, she has similar aspects to Bill Barr in that she wants the chaos and fighting to stop because she feels it is not good for Britain. And so if the Tories are going to do this, they have to do this without all of this obstruction and chaos. And so it's giving them time in order to get their act together. That's the function of this. You can see the Hermit coming in, which is scholarship, an offer being rejected. It could be that they're given this choice to take time to try and make Brexit work. But if they fail to make it work, the towel will be thrown in, the Four of Cups. If after this break they still are not able to come up with anything, then we could see the towel thrown in on Brexit. I am going to now throw on Brexit to see if it actually comes in. But I'm glad I did that because I don't see a blackmail of the Queen or anything like that. I think she's well protected, well defended. And they've had crises in the past. This is more a feeling that let's see what the Tories can do if nobody's bothering them. And if they still can't pull it off, then the towel will be thrown in. All right. Now we want to ask from Spirit whether or not we're going to get a Brexit. Are we going to get a hard Brexit in Britain? Let's take a look. All right, Spirit. Is this a hard Brexit? If we get a tower as an outcome, I mean, I don't know what we're going to get, but let's take a look. Base of the matter. Here's this guy again. This is Jeremy Corbyn, I think. The abundance feeling that one. Can somebody tell me or look it up and let me know what the astrological sign is of Jeremy Corbyn and Boris Johnson? I'm trying to figure out who the negotiator is with the offer, possibly a water sign. Whoever that person is, they're trying to create financial stability. You can see the Nine of Pentacles moving in and the Great Negotiator. Some aspects to the dream of Brexit are positive in the sense that people want more attention at home, and so that's what's appealing. But you can see here, linked to the Devil, these are not positive cards, a judgment coming. This is again saying that a hard Brexit, I only read the cards and the energy, and I know that some of the people that watch this channel do want to have Brexit. Unfortunately, it's simply not the will of everybody in Britain, and you can see there is this resistance. It's as if people feel that something is being forced upon them. Even a large percentage of people who voted for Brexit, even if it's only 13%, that's still a lot because Brexit barely passed. And so now you have the majority of the people of Britain saying, we don't want to do this. It's like being in a relationship with a guy, and then once you're in the relationship with a guy, you realize it's not going to work. You made a mistake. Now, how do I get out of this? That's exactly what Brexit looks like. The karma. In plainer words, there's a karma to this in the sense that this is what the people voted for. They collectively, as a group, voted for this. You can see here the thief attempts to flee. So the people there's also a feeling here that the people that started it, the people that were pushing for this, they seem to have taken off and left the bag and left the disaster for other people to clean up. The Wheel of Fortune coming in with the Nine of Pentacles would suggest that there are more difficult times ahead for Brexit. It's interesting. The Queen is just trying to give them time. Okay, I trust you. You said you would be able to make this happen. but we're not seeing trying to make things smoother, feeling that one has been cornered. The expectations, here's the problem. Ouch. What was sold as Brexit, what was promised, the beautiful world post-Brexit that was promised is not the reality of what life will be like in Britain. There was Boris Johnson sold a fantasy about what this was going to look like, but this is the outcome. Y'all saw me shuffle, the hope and the fear, the contract with Brexit. It looks like what happens is that Britain doesn't have any viable, the business contracts. If they do this thing, it will be a huge mistake because it will take them years to bail themselves out of this. You can see the work and the difficulty, and the people that initially had started this ball rolling have already left. I'm sorry to say nothing has changed in terms of the cards associated with Brexit. Brexit would be extremely difficult on the economy of Britain based on these cards, and it would take a long time, even years, to be able to stabilize the country again. You could see the Ten of Wands was the hard labor after devastation would be the outcome if hard Brexit happens. And you can see the karma card here in the 4th house, with the 6th house being the 9 of Swords. Forcing a situation on the British people that does not appear natural or feasible would be to go, in a sense, against the natural order or the will of the people, and the consequences would be pretty disastrous. Hopefully they won't do it. All right, now I was asked about Joe Walsh and whether or not this is the Republican who is challenging President Trump in the primary. If Trump wins the primary, if he stays and doesn't resign, which I can't imagine that happening because it looks like his tax returns are about to be released, he would lose to Elizabeth Warren. However, if Kasich runs and clinches it, we're going to get another Republican for 4 years because Kasich is a moderate, and a moderate would beat Elizabeth Warren, I think. So it's going to be interesting. We'll go ahead and take a look at Joe Walsh. Is Joe Walsh going to win the primary, the Republican primary, instead of Donald Trump? Joe Walsh. I believe he's a Tea Party candidate. Base of the matter. The eyes are opening and willing to do the work. He's definitely hired a group of people to do research. He already had a campaign research group put together that was researching his campaign bid. You can see a high priestess coming in, the eyes being open, and the work is getting started. So this would suggest to me that he already had been investigating whether or not he had already put a committee together. He had put a committee together, and now the early work of running has already started. Ace of Cups moving in, an offer, the Emperor, the executive branch. Ace of Wands, 6 of Wands, a victory. He's gaining speed in terms of, you can see a Page of Cups moving in with an Ace of Wands. He's starting to get more support, and you could see yet again another split with the Republican where the Tea Party joins Joe Walsh. the business, 3 of Wands, and the final outcome, the world. He actually is building a slow, steady coalition of support. It's very likely that I don't know if he'll be president, but it's very likely he could win the nomination. You can see the Emperor right over him, which is the executive or leader, and then the Page of Pentacles is the offer and the world, and then High Priestess in the base. He's very serious. It started off as something not a lot of people were taking seriously. It appears that he hired a committee to investigate whether or not he could win the primary, and they were happy with the results. It looks like he'll be able to peel off enough support from the Tea Party and from the moderate Republicans to possibly take the primary if he challenges the president. I personally think the president's going to resign before then, and then you're going to have a group of people running in the primary. And this individual stands a very good chance of taking the nomination. All right, so I was now asked to go ahead and look at Whimsy 2020. It's funny. Okay, do people want me to go ahead and look at the Amazon next? I can do that. Let me take a minute and say hi to people. Oh, outside the White House. Hi, Pam. Right-wing third party, yeah. But the Tea Party actually has a sizable number of supporters that had problems with. The Libertarians also have a problem with the prejudice. They want open borders, open trade. And they also think that, you know, it's interesting. You have a lot of different groups vying at this primary, and I just don't know if Trump is even going to be there at that point. Okay, I really want to look at the Amazon. If you'd like to be involved in helping to plant trees, you can go to americanforest.org and help plant trees here in the United States. Amazon Watch does not plant trees. It's a political organization, and that's important too. But if you just want to, we don't have to plant them in the Amazon, but if you just want to work on planting them here in the U.S., that's probably the most affordable way to do it is with americanforest.org. All right, let's take a look at the Amazon. Interesting. Oh, that's very interesting too. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. Wow, this is really cool. I'll tell you what I see. So a couple of things seem to be going on. I'll go ahead and take some notes for myself. But one of the things that I'm starting to see is this idea of new eco-friendly farming. And this is something we're going to be seeing happening all over the world. And that is that there are going to be patches or oases or rainforests that are going to be built all over the world, not just in the Amazon. So in a way, even though the head of the Amazon the head of Brazil seems to be a little bit crazy, people are beginning to think that in the crazy there's a point, and that is that when he says, why don't you people go plant trees, he's actually got a point in the sense that what I see happening in the coming years is that reforestation programs are going to be happening globally, not just in the Amazon. So yes, we have to preserve the Amazon, but I'm seeing massive tree planting all over the world, in Africa, in Europe, the Middle East, etc. So there is a global desire to compensate for what's happening in the Amazon. So I do know that there's quite a bit of tree planting that's happening in the Middle East. I know that there's a tree planting organization that people have started in Europe to expand the borders of Europe by planting trees. And it appears that, and I think 350 million trees were planted in Africa in a single day. Other environmental protection organizations are being started in the Latin American community. I know Puerto Rico, which we're also going to be throwing on today, has been extremely proactive about saving themselves. The mayor had, what did she say? She said, asked America to get out of the way. Let's take a look. The ethos, right? The higher self, and then what's the higher self? Gaia. Isn't that a great two base cards too? Major Arcana, one is Gaia. So the higher self or the higher ethos that we collectively have come to is that Gaia comes first. So yes, we have to save the Amazon, but we also have to plant trees in California, Oregon, Washington, Canada, all over the Midwest, all over Europe. Tree planting and taking care of Gaia is a global problem. So addressing it as a global problem rather than just one area. So it's interesting when I tune in to the president of Brazil, I keep thinking about the story of Exodus and the slaves getting out of Egypt. And I keep thinking about that story that Pharaoh's heart was hardened. And I think of that archetype of the Pharaoh who refuses to let the people go and whose heart is hardened. It's a really weird story when you think about it in the Bible, because it's supposedly God that is hardening Pharaoh's heart, and which is bizarre. But anyway, Four of Cups refuses to take an offer. So the president of Brazil has hardened his heart, and the more we scream and yell at him, the harder his heart becomes. So we're not going to be able to go forward helping the Amazon so long as we're working directly with him. There's a rejection of our offer or even attempts to help, hanging it up. So a feeling globally that we will not be able to negotiate with the president of Brazil in order to save the Amazon, and hanging up any attempts to try and work with him. The international community or there are legal issues coming up. It could be that there were international laws that were decided upon to protect the South American rainforest, and there appears to be some violation of international laws. You can see here the third house, the Knight of Swords coming in, which is a fighting back or angry. It could also be legal or police. And then what is above it, again, legal imagery of justice. So international laws, international courts coming in to try and see what they can legally do and what has been inherited. The inheritance, 10 of Pentacles, the mess that we have inherited. There seems to be some stay or some legal argument that's going to allow us to come in and assist. Also, if they are violating treaty rights with first persons that are living in the Amazon, that also could become a legal fight. You can see the Nine of Cups moving in with the Justice card. So the wish being granted, let me go ahead and show it to you. The wish being granted regarding some legal case. The businessman. The devil. The businessman imagery comes, and it's an issue of being hooked on or addicted to something. This can be addiction. It can be being in a relationship that is codependent or addictive in nature. The hope and the fear, the stress, or the fact that this relationship potentially is a source of one's stress, one's misery, unhappiness, and then the final outcome, there will be a celebration. It's almost as if to say that good triumphs over evil. That there are enough millionaires and billionaires that will be buying up land and planting trees. Patrick Swayze did that. He built a 500-acre old-growth forest. He expanded on an old-growth forest. So there seems to be, with this Three of Cups moving in, some kind of desire on the part of wealthy and powerful people. You can see the Magician moving in to put a stop to whatever this is. So it's interesting. What I'm starting to see is this movement of green capitalism coming in, and there are more good people that are rich than bad people that are rich. And the good people that are rich, the environmentalists that are rich, the people that do care about their grandchildren, the people that do care about the ecosystem, will come up with creative ways to save the planet. Remember when I had talked about floating cities and I had talked about expanding the universe? It looks like that's one of the things that's in the work. We're gonna start seeing cities being greened. We're gonna start seeing this green capitalism come in. Sounds like something Elizabeth Warren would sign up on, because I guess that's what she's into. But it looks like what's going to happen is that cities, streets, buildings will be greened. They'll have green foliage. They will be built in ways that are eco-friendly. That's the first thing we saw. But the other thing is that the earth we will expand the world by creating these floating forests or floating ecosystems that help not only expand the world, but expand the Earth's ecosystem. And theoretically, some of these floating cities or isolated areas will be for animals only. You'll be able to go to them and see them and do some tourism, but probably we will not be able to live in these areas, except for people who work there. That seems to be where we're headed. So the whole planet is going to go green. Places where human beings live are going to go green. If you have any space at all, start growing native plants that can handle the hotter temperatures. Everybody needs to start planting. Everybody needs to start buying trees. And also we lead with our pocketbook. So the fact that the outcome was the Knight of Pentacles tells me that this dynamic, we the people have decided that this dynamic is not working for us, because we the people have changed our ethos. The base of the matter, the ethos and Gaia. So we the people are putting a stop to it, because we the people don't eat as much meat as we used to. So growing soybeans, not to feed people, the soybeans are being grown mostly to feed the cattle. Isn't working for us anymore. All right, so how are we doing, everybody? Do people want me to look at Jeremy Corbyn next? I think that was the next on the list. And did somebody check out when Jeremy Corbyn's birthday is so that I can pick a significator? Is he a water sign? Who's the water sign? That's what I'd like to know. Nobody knows? Nope. May 26th is Jeremy Corbyn. Is that right? He's a Gemini. Who's a Taurus? I'm confused. Okay, so Jeremy Corbyn is a Gemini. Let's go ahead and access records on him and see how he does. The Queen, she tends to go with the Tories, and the Tories convinced her that the reason it wasn't working is because of us, because it's bloody progressives. All right, what is going to happen with Jeremy Corbyn? Don't you love this? I love blitzes. They're so much fun. Let's take a look, Mr. Jeremy. What is the future of Jeremy Corbyn? Is he going to be able to stop Brexit? Looks like the Queen was always skeptical of the EU. Base of the matter, feeling trapped and defensive. You can see the 9 of Wands moving in for Jeremy Corbyn's regarding how the money is harvested, the money tree. He's also concerned about the environment. The karma, a feeling like some bad karma is headed the way. Look at that. There's Brexit again, represented as the devil, or a bond, or a type of bond that is unhealthy, like a relationship with the devil, union with the devil, contract with the devil. What is above? Jeremy Corbyn feels like he has logic on his side. That's interesting. He's in a state of complete confusion about how this happened. So it's as if something crazy is happening in Britain and nobody knows how this crazy got started or what it means. Leaving the Constitution or leaving the laws of a country, the judges, the laws coming into power, going into King of Pentacles, which is the business of the nation. It's interesting that there's this conflict happening in terms of the power struggle, the confusion between the morals and ethics of the nation and the business of the nation. The judgment coming regarding the offer, hopes and fears, the higher self, and then the final outcome, constriction of energy, 4 of Pentacles, frugality, and it could also mean poverty. The clarification, new offers, hopes and fears, the final outcome, mastery. Okay, so here's the thing. It looks like Jeremy Corbyn will be asked to come up with a counter offer or be able to he's going to be able to explain himself, because you can see here an 8 of Pentacles moving in, and the 8 of Pentacles is the mastery card. So he's going to be able, he has to be able to show that Brexit would be financially a mistake, and he's going to be able to present his case, and the outcome is mastery. So I don't think anything's cut in stone. I can only tell you that if they do a hard Brexit, it will be economically a mistake for the country. All right, how's everybody holding up? People want to know about Bannon. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to Bannon, but I think Bannon's an informant probably, which is why they tolerate him. Nigel Farage, yes. All right, so we'll go ahead and look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg now, just to make sure she's okay. I know she's been having some health challenges. And while we're at it, we'll also look at the Supreme Court as a whole. How is RBG doing? Ruth Bader Ginsburg, how's she doing? Who's going to replace her? Are we going to be okay? Can she make it to the end of this presidency? Ruth Bader Ginsburg. How is? How's that girl doing? The base of the matter, RBG. The business of 3 of Wands, getting your wish, but also looking beyond. How one's looking to tomorrow, waiting for one's ships to come in, looking for what's over the horizon, negotiations. So she is, I think, preparing for the eventual day when she's going to have to step down. I think that she is trying to get things in order because she is thinking about what's going to happen beyond her work there. Right now, she's not ready to leave. You can see a Two of Swords there. She's still doing the work. This is somebody who, the work comes first, and the passion of the work is one of the reasons why she's been able to stay active as long as she has. Ace of Wands also moving into the 4th house. She does have days where she's tired, when she doesn't feel well. She does have days, 8 of Swords sitting in the 3rd house, where she feels constricted or frustrated by her situation. However, the joy and the purpose of what she's doing appears to allow her to keep working. Ace of Wands moving in with the 3 of Pentacles, a new contract coming in or offers. Ace of Swords, she pulled double aces. So you can see victory after tears where she's at, and contracts or offers or new laws or new decisions being made. 3 of Pentacles is a real estate card, but it's also a card that has to do with constructing something, the blueprint of this thing that is being structured. So this doesn't indicate somebody, and it has to do with some type of labor. Look at this, triple aces. The hope and the fear, the harvest, the final outcome. Would anybody expect her to get anything other than the archetype Yehudit? RBG is Yehudit manifested on the Supreme Court. The perfect judge. My way, my way. I did it my way. So the final outcome, the Queen of Wands, the perfect judge, and the clarification, working with others, a strong sense of justice. The Earth Protector comes in also as her archetype, and the final outcome, she stands with the Hierophant. She's got a lot of stuff up her sleeve. She's a lot smarter than the boys that are trying to take away her, my hair is so, humidity. Yeah, so the fact that she wound up with the archetype symbolizing the perfect judge as her outcome with the Hierophant, which is the higher power, I would say that for the time being, she's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. All right, people had also wanted me to look at Puerto Rico. I think I'm going to look at Puerto Rico next. What it's going to be with Puerto Rico. You're welcome, Renee. What is going to be with Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico. Are they going to be okay with this storm that's coming? International business community is going to start investing in infrastructure. Green environmentalists as well. They're going to bypass the sociopaths, and they're going to start investing in the environmental economy of the third world. Rather than sitting around and waiting for someone to save us, environmentalists are going to start going into business with countries, not with an intention of using and exploiting them, but genuinely helping them. And that includes funding levies for Puerto Rico. They're willing to invest in that infrastructure, and they will give Puerto Rico a fair offer, which is not what's been happening up to this point. I see independent businesses funding the rebuilding of their country. See this? Lovers. Lovers in the garden. This is alliances, but there's grief here. In plainer words, Puerto Rico can no longer expect governments to bail them out, and so instead they are entering into contracts and business arrangements with companies one-on-one that will have green policies and will invest in infrastructure and levies in exchange for doing business in Puerto Rico, and it will be a fair deal. And that is not what they got from the World Bank, and that's not what they got from America. Confusion now. People really are afraid of their current situation because they trusted the United States. They trusted the people who were in charge, and it put them at the mercy of a situation they should never have been in. But as is true of the victimizer, they always tell you, you are not a victim, while simultaneously making life hell on earth for everyone. You can see the earth protectors coming in right here. This is the environmentalist card for people who are wanting new ways of interpreting the cards. You can see the earth defenders standing, protecting the water, the stream, while the earth protectors, while the stream and the land is being attacked. So we can see here the protector's energy is moving in, but the devil card. Again, this unhealthy dynamic of having relationships with people who don't care about you, who are using you for their own ulterior motives, or being in a relationship that's addictive, unhealthy, toxic. So it seems to suggest that the relationship that Puerto Rico has with America has not only bankrupted Puerto Rico, but placed them in a relationship that's toxic and abusive. But we can see here above a new contract, a new relationship with earth protectors is moving in instead. The difference between an unhealthy relationship with an abusive person and a relationship with somebody that actually cares about you and your environment. What sits in the past? Ace of Wands. They've already decided to save themselves. They're going to save themselves by funding small independent projects and new relationships that are based on the ethos and values of the Puerto Rican people. This is how Puerto Rico saves herself. New contracts. Isn't it cool when you can read the cards before you turn them over? I love that. You can feel the energy because you start remote viewing and then you throw the cards. It's so cool. So you can see here the new contract with independent persons, and that it has an environmental feel to it. The crash is happening now. Over the next 2 to 3 days, strong people are coming in to do everything they can to get mobilized to try and make sure that this situation is not as devastating as it could be. Some areas will be lost, that people are going to have to evacuate, and they're just going to have to focus on what they can preserve, because some areas of Puerto Rico will be left uninhabitable. They're going to possibly lose for a very long time some areas of Puerto Rico. They have to instead focus on what they can save. Interesting. Ace of Swords outcome. You know, this is really interesting. And this is something that has a Buddhist feel to it, in the sense that when Puerto Rico decided to save herself, it didn't mean that she hadn't been a victim. She was a victim of injustice. So you can acknowledge that you've been victimized, or that something morally, and if somebody lies to you and says that they're going to take care of you, get on the plane, give away all your personal property, get on the plane, come move in with me, and you show up and the guy is bankrupted and you're having to pay his rent because he's going to have to live with his mommy, you would probably get a little annoyed if such a thing were to theoretically happen, because you're banking on the other person that they're going to do what they said they're going to do, and they're not going to be defrauding you. That's the situation you see with Puerto Rico. They entered into a relationship that was too good to be true. They have a relationship with the United States, where the United States seems to be reneging on its moral responsibility to Puerto Rico. And so once they snapped out of it, you're right, I'm not a victim, but I will be a victim if I continue to believe anything you say. So Puerto Rico goes through this revolution, and then they come into their own power, and that means a hard time ahead for Puerto Rico, because they're going to have to learn to do things. They're going to have to accept the fact that the contracts and relationship they had in the past with the United States is never going to be what they were told it was going to be. And so they go out and they save themselves, and that means they're open for business. They're open for business with eco-friendly companies that they will allow to come into Puerto Rico and do business with Puerto Rico in exchange for assisting in infrastructure. That's the outcome. And there's some rough times ahead, and some areas of the island of Puerto Rico are gonna be underwater, but they will rebuild. They will rebuild. Okay. And they'll do quite well for themselves, but they'll do well for themselves after they've saved themselves. And once Puerto Rico becomes incredibly profitable because of all the work that they've done to make it an eco-friendly, strong economy, then America and everybody else will want to try and make business with Puerto Rico. This is what's going to be happening in the coming years. And Puerto Rico will want nothing to do with them, which is what always happens, because that's just the dynamic of relationships. As soon as the woman says, you know what, you are a jerk, you do treat me like a doormat, I'm going to go save myself. And then she goes and gets her doctoral degree or whatever. And then she becomes financially independent. I'm speaking theoretically. All of a sudden, she becomes more attractive, right? So that's Puerto Rico's future. Ace of Swords is the outcome. She will save herself. Then all of a sudden, everybody wants a date. She's not interested. She could do better. You just don't measure up. All right. SCOTUS, the future of SCOTUS. We've got a few more minutes, so let's do SCOTUS. Is this fun for people? Don't you just love Puerto Rico? She's like the angry woman. Get that. You're right. We aren't getting married, you asshole. I would never marry you. Get out. It's that kind of, we don't want to be a state. We want nothing to do with you because your values make us sick. She's gotten self-respect, honey. Get out. Well, I can take care of myself. And then she pulls herself up by the bootstrap. She does great. And it becomes this beautiful island paradise that is eco-friendly, and people are going there and having a great time and spending money and doing green tourism, and she's becoming this rich, wonderful country, this rich, wonderful place. It's, well, now you can become a state. That's okay. We like things the way they are now. Okay, what is going to be with SCOTUS? Are we going to see another Republican step in to the SCOTUS position? Let's take a look. It's going to be with SCOTUS. The base of the matter, a new beginning, walking away. So the courts are going to be experiencing change. There's a woman here, and there's grief, many choices, new partnerships. Yeah, we could see a new judge coming in. Yehuda, the perfect judge. Feeling trapped, the hope and the fear, and then the final outcome, hanging it up. It's possible we could see it could get to 6-3. I'm sorry to say, just because that Emperor card is moving into the 6th house, and that is the judge, and then Yehuda, who's the leader of the tribe, symbolized also judgeship or leadership, came in, heartbreak, hanging it up. It's very possible we could see a 6-3. But I don't see this dynamic lasting more than 2.5 to 3 years, because we see another change happening in the next 2 to 3 years, where the country seems to be moving left and eco-friendly. Also, there's going to be some resistance from libertarian, other major investors, that they don't want the courts becoming too conservative, which means that there's a possibility the next judge coming in will be a woman. All right, so I think we're pretty much done. We're going to go ahead and do the Deutsche Bank now to see what the future of Deutsche Bank is and whether or not they're going to release Trump's taxes. It looks like now they're finding out that the co-signers were Russian oligarchs. So that's probably going to be coming out real soon. If that's coming out this week or next week, that would explain why we see a turn in the Senate that I had seen coming up in the next couple weeks. So yeah, let's take a look at Deutsche Bank. What's going to be with Deutsche Bank? Deutsche Bank. Base of the matter, Deutsche Bank. Yeah, everything's getting handed over. You can see the fool takes a leap of faith regarding documents or the mastery. So Deutsche Bank is in a lot of trouble. This feels to me like there was a lot of corruption, and like the international banking community, etc., is moving in. The mastery card going through the coin. Where they are at right now, look at that. They're looking at the money. There's Trump. Trump's money. Yeah, it's getting released. Look at that. It's all about the money. Not only it's more than that. There's more here than his tax returns. This is everything. This is much worse. This is bad. Look at this. Look at all this money. Look at all these loans. Look at this one. Look at this. And here's Trump. Not only, this is a lot worse than that. This is not just tax returns. This is a massive international scheme where lots of businesses, lots of companies were being bailed out, and it was the Russians privately giving loans. And it accelerated. When businesses were belly up or went in trouble, they went to Deutsche Bank, and then they basically got compromised by the Russians. So the situation is out of control, and that seems to be what's coming out with the Deutsche Bank investigation. Oh, double aces, Ace of Pentacles over Ace of Cups. Yeah, they're trying to make nice with the West. They have to hand everything over because of how they're going to be severely fined. Look at this. Look at the money, most likely coming from Deutsche Bank, and the offer. Look at the position of the double aces. Ace of Pentacles, massive coin being offered. This is Deutsche Bank, not just exposure of information about previous deals. And then this is Trump, and then an Ace of Cups, which is an offer. He is in so much trouble, but not just him. Lots of people who took loans, which leads you to think who all took loans. We know Kushner took loans. I believe Ivanka took loans. Trump took loans, but also several members of both the GOP and the Democrats. The judgment is coming. So it's all coming out. The books, look at this, Fool card. The books are going to be published. The information is going to be, look at this. triple aces. In the 8th house, Ace of Wands. This is legal bank. This is international banking laws. Look at that. Morally questionable relationships. The final outcome, the Strength card. It's all coming out. Look at the clarification. Contract with the devil. Can you believe these cards today? Look at that, slicing it off. The relationship between Deutsche Bank and these kinds of creepy deals with laundered money have come to an end. And there is a large group, a swath of people at Deutsche Bank that knew this was going on, that were whistleblowers and was secretly collecting stuff and turning it over to the government and to the Fed, American feds, etc. So there were whistleblowers within Deutsche Bank that began to document and report this stuff. And that's part of how they got caught. And the good people within Deutsche Bank that saw this happening and began handing everything over to the international banking community, etc., will get protected. And a lot of people in the banking community that destabilize the entire world with this kind of behavior are going to be sitting in hearings answering questions, probably in the Hague and elsewhere, because this completely put the entire planet in disarray. That's what I see. You can see the Page of Swords coming in, cutting off former alliances. We're going to be okay. And the good people that work at Deutsche Bank that asked for help in exposing this, they will have their day in court as well, and everything's coming out. And I imagine that was the vision I had about the coming couple of weeks and the change with the Republican Senate. So it would also explain why Boris Johnson is pushing quick to have a quick Brexit, because all of this is coming out with Deutsche Bank, and they have a list of names and companies that it's all coming out. It's all coming out within the next couple of days or weeks, and that's another reason why Boris Johnson is trying to push it through with Brexit. That's what it looks like. All right, did I get to everybody's questions? It's past an hour, so I'm going to have to call it quits. Let me know when everybody wants to do the slumber party, and if you'd like me to bring some of my girlfriends over and boyfriends over, and we'll all decide what the treats are going to be as well. Oh, people are donating. Thank you. Yeah, it all goes into the same account, and then at the on September 22nd is our next donation drive. Thank you for the donation for the trees. So thank you, Liz. Yes, everything with the permission of the group, because we the majority rules here at Oracle of Whimsy. I would like the majority of the money to go towards the environment this month, but I still want to also give to children at the border. So we, the people, get to decide. But what I'm hearing from all of you is that you want it to go towards the Amazon. So we will find some type of organization that plants trees and helps you. Just reach out to me, folks, where you want the money to go next month. And thank you for the super chat donations for the environment. All right, love and light to everybody. Thank you for your support. You folks are not just fans of the channel. You've become friends and allies, and you're great. You're awesome. So thank you for the support. Thank you for taking the time to watch those horrible commercials. Thank you, Coriel. The money will go to plant trees. All the money raised today, that's where it goes. Love and light, and we will see you next time, everybody. And I just need people to tell me when to do the party. Thanks, everyone. Be well. Bye.